Dan Eubanks, House of Representatives, District 25, DeSoto County. Good morning, Dan. How are you, sir? It's good to have you again.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Paul. Good to be here with you again.
Busy Monday. Let's take the thing that we were supposed to take the last time and we didn't, and talk about HB 1354, the alcohol beverage control, and then we'll get into the update as far as the Tunica County thing. As I said, lots to talk about. Any feedback on this, or first of all, your thoughts, your insight and analysis on this?
Are you talking about the alcohol warehouse that the state owns and operates? Yeah. Well, I would ask you and your viewers and listeners, when you think of core functions of government, what do you think of? You think of what? Infrastructure, roads and bridges, police and fire, sewer and water.
Fire, right.
But what do you think? You know what? I really wish my state government was in the, alcohol and liquor distribution business. And while they're at it, why not have a monopoly? Because we all know that government-run monopolies run efficiently, and you can look at the Soviet Union and see how well that worked. Yeah. And so the whole premise behind the fact that we are in the alcohol business, it does not set up to be in a jiving with the core functions of government. And so we had a bill that came through, just for your listeners, a little bit of history here. A couple years ago, we, as the legislature, passed a $55 million bond bill in order for them to build a new liquor warehouse for the distribution center because it was crowded and the facility wasn't quite there. Well, fast forward 2 years to this year, and we had to raise it to $95 million. And, we are going to build this on the back of the taxpayer. Now, there's argument that it's like, well, no, we raised the bailment fee. And just so your listeners know what that is, it's a fee that we charge the brewers, the people whose product that comes into the warehouse based on volume to help offset some of the warehousing costs. We raised that 50% to help, pay for the bond, but it's going to take 30 years before that happens. And we all know what happens when you raise the price on the manufacturer or anything during the process, from manufacturing to distribution to the retailer. The consumer is the one that is actually going to foot the bill in the end. And so I think that Mississippi should get out of the alcohol business. I think the free market can do it a lot more efficiently. And we know that when you let the free market work, you get not just efficiency, but you get competition. And when you have competition, prices get better for everyone. So that's kind of my sticking point on this.
Well, so what you're telling me, chances are the prices are going to go up. They've got to go up to pay for this.
Absolutely.
And instead of that, and we're certainly not going to drop the sin tax. So all of that's going to be in there, and liquor is going to cost you more, not less. Were there anything, because we talked about allowing the license holders to have more than one location. That died, did it? It didn't pass.
That one died too. There's a big headwind anytime, a lot of our surrounding states have taken and opened it up to where you could operate as many liquor licenses as you want, or allowed grocery stores to get into the wine business. If you're up in the Tennessee area, up in the Memphis area where I live, you can buy wine from all of your grocery retailers, Sam's Club, you name it.
Where is this going? Do you have any idea where the land is and which politician's homeland is going to be graced with this new building?
I had heard some different areas. I thought it was in Rankin County, but I could be wrong. I don't know the exact location. I think part of it is, if you're building a brand new facility, you're going to look for, the infrastructure that you need in order to take and make it work, and also, proximity to your labor force and all of that. So it'll be somewhere in the Jackson metro area. But it'll be a couple of years before you'd even be up and running after you build a warehouse.
Well, here's you and I think agree on this one, and I think Trey Lamar, also the chairman of Ways and Means, because he was on this program saying basically the same thing. Maybe it's time for us to privatize and get out of this thing. It's one of those things that's real close to the old blue laws, where, if you spit on a horse, you can go to jail or something like that. Because this was in here, and I can understand prohibition, I can understand moonshiners and everything else. But in 2024, it's outdated. And why spend $95 million on this? Leave it to the private sector to take care of that. Put all your rules and regulations that you have. Keep your sin tax in there. But we don't do that for beer. Why don't we do it for beer?
I don't know. And we don't do that.
We have 1 minute.
We don't do that for marijuana. we let the private market grow it, distribute it, retail it, and we just oversee it. And so why can't we do that for alcohol? We don't do it for beer. And it's kind of an aside, but my wife's brother owns a winery out in Sonoma. We can't even legally get him to ship us some wine into Mississippi if we wanted to have some of his product. And for years, we haven't been able to do the wine of the month thing because why? It's got to flow through the government, when they can tax it just like Amazon does for out-of-state sales and still send the revenue to the state. So it's outdated. You're absolutely right.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's one of those things that people are disappointed that this is, and I'm not sure why. It may be because we have a lot of Democrats who were Democrats and switched over to the Republican Party, but they still have the DNA of a Democrat. But this is one of those things that the Republican Party, you would think, say, this is ridiculous, financially, physically, morally, any other way, it just doesn't make sense. Let's get out of the business. Now's a good chance to do it instead of obligating for another $95 million. And by the time this thing is built, it's not going to be $95 million. You know that. I know.
No, we'll have. Well, in 2 years, it went up $40 million. So you can imagine what's going to happen another year or two from now. It'll probably be, we need to add another $20 million to it. And when we do that, we just lock ourselves into this business model for another 20 or 30 years. And so I would say this, when you value a company, it's based on revenue, profit, all of that. And this is a sizable amount. We're talking about a business that contributes over $100 million a year to the general fund. If you just figured something in the 5 to 6 times multiple range, we're talking $500 million. What company wouldn't want to get in on the ground floor to the monopoly distribution system in Mississippi? I mean, obviously, you'd open the market up too for other businesses to enter, but you could take a huge chunk of change by the sale of this and plug holes wherever. I had suggested, we dealt with PERS, the state retirement system, all session. You could plug a pretty big hole with the sales of that. We're still going to get taxes off the company that operates it. We're still going to get taxes off of the retail of it. So it just doesn't make sense for us to be in that business.
Well, the other part of that, too, is when you start looking at trends, according to what we see, there are more people now smoking marijuana than drinking. And that's going to increase as the baby boomers die away and you've got more of this younger generation. So alcohol sales have been going down, not up. This has been signed by the governor, so it's kind of a moot point unless somebody brings up something in the next session.
Well, I mean, we could always decide as the legislature to, just because we help fund it, that can be part of any kind of sales deal that it's coming.
Yeah.
There's always, like they say during session, it's never dead. Even when it's dead, until we sign, he die at the end of session, nothing's ever dead. We suspended the rules so many times this session to bring stuff and resurrect stuff back up. We could fix this, and we could take and divest ourselves as a state from this business model if we wanted to.
And the other great saying is the legislature giveth and the legislature taketh away. So let's turn our attention to Tunica. You sent me, or somebody sent me this video. I almost had to laugh when I saw that video. I did post it. But that video was just, you're talking about putting lipstick on a pig.
A pig.
They made this look like it was Mother Teresa's orphanage. I'll play the audio from this. If you haven't seen the video, it is on my feed at Paul Gallo Show on X. PaulGalloshow on X. But I'll play the audio from that, from the Tunica County presentation that this company made to the Board of Supervisors. When we come back and get Dan's view on this one, too, in just a moment.
For sponsors through legal immigration processes with 24/7 security, caring staff, and all the services they need. These kids will get help, and Tunica County will be safe. This self-sufficient facility will have its own staff, school, medical facilities, and emergency services, not relying on the county. This project will bring good paying jobs to our community, hiring local people first and replacing lost jobs. It's a chance to boost our economy and give our town a new life. Imagine a future where Tunica County thrives again. Restaurants, stores, casinos, entertainment, and thriving businesses from the new workers with good paying jobs. Tax revenue, opportunities for local contractors, and spending bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars a year to benefit Tunica County. Together we can help children in need, create jobs, and foster a resilient Tunica County. Let's make Tunica County a place of hope and growth. Be a part of this transformative initiative and help build a better future for our community today.
What do you say about that, man?
Well, you know,
so many contradictions in there.
You know, that video was put together, and it was a slick little video. They probably could have done with a better narrator, but it was done to try and build support for the deal before the Board of Supervisors voted on it. And I just got to say, before we dig into this, that if ever in the realm of wins we needed to chalk one up, you personally, your listeners, and the people of Mississippi, since 2 weeks ago when you and I talked about this, the logjam got broke up from something I was banging the warning alarms on since the middle of April. And enough folks started calling and holding their local and state representation accountable to the point that last Thursday, when it went before the Board of Supervisors in Tunica County, the vote was 3-2 not to accept the deal. Now, that doesn't mean it's dead and gone and we can just rest on our laurels. We got to be diligent because it may come back and it may be coming to a town near you. But that video, you know, it's like a temporary shelter, but it's going to generate hundreds of millions of dollars a year, you know, and part of the whole narrative was, you know, this is for, you know, children and, you know, who doesn't love children and the pull on the heartstrings. But part of that was to get the deal inked and done and to get it zoned. And, you know, you say whatever you want. Are you going to expect this many kids coming nonstop going forward, or is this just the gateway drug to have a processing center in Mississippi to run illegals through? And so a win for all of your listeners and the folks that call.
How many people were we talking about support staff? Where are these teachers going to come from?
Well, they were trying. Well, not only that, but think about this. The majority of those kids, I would say maybe not a majority, but at least half, we know what the human trafficking situation is like. For an 8-year-old or 12-year-old unaccompanied minor to make it from South America to the United States, it's just a terrible, terrible system. You don't just throw kids like that into a facility and cookie cutter anything and not have qualified psychologists. And are they bilingual? And to deal with the aftermath of that, but also just the security issues. Where do you find that kind of qualified workers when states across the country can't even find that type of qualified worker? It really was a narrative, in my opinion, to try and get a foothold in Mississippi, and it would be a great location if that was your goal. Not just for minors, but ultimately to just be a processing center.
I can see it as a retirement village for Mississippians or veterans or something like that. But in this particular
there's actually some deals in the works on that. There were deals, economic deals already. I talked to a gentleman who they were ready to purchase the property when all of a sudden the rug got yanked out from under them to make way for this deal because it had bigger price tag dollars.
So is that other deal, economic development, back on the table, a possibility?
Well, I would imagine, and hopefully it will be, because it'll be a true economic development deal, and it will benefit Tunica County and DeSoto County. But it's really going to depend on whether or not this thing is still on life support and they come at it from a different angle or not, I would think.
How do you think, and I mentioned this not long ago, how do you think, and Dan Eubanks, House of Representatives, from District 25, DeSoto County, how do you think of the literally millions upon millions of acres across America, sea to shining sea, this one little spot got put on the radar? How do you think, who was hawking this? You have any idea?
Well, Frank Corder with the Magnolia Tribune did a really good article on this. He's done several good pieces, and one of them was he listed the sort of the qualification list of what the area or potential development site has to actually meet. It's like a little laundry list, and so there's areas. This one was like it checked all the boxes, and they're like, oh yes, and there's actually these ICF, these care centers, there's about 16 of them already established across the country, and they wanted to add this to the list.
We're going to be taken away from the computer here, but I would think not having a nearby hospital would be one of the things that it did not check. We'll pick this up the next time we visit. Dan, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Never enough time with you. Never. We got news coming up next.